Hello, you're back with a single malt review as we venture once more into rum territory.
And this one is going to be a real treat for everybody involved, but mostly us because we'll be drinking it. This is a Kill Devil rum, which it doesn't make a great show of it. Is actually a Hunter Laing brand. It's single cask rum, in this case Jamaican, 10 years old, and one of 338. You are the best. You are the best. They're just going to restore the.
We go.
See, this is why Mingus doesn't get to come on the show.
Yeah. It's all fun and games till your cat headbutts your recording equipment off the table.
He is objectively the worst.
As we're saying, 10-year-old single cask
Jamaican rum, and one of 338, which is sort of hogshead size. That's not quite enough for a butt, I would expect. It's far too many for a barrel, unless it was an extremely full one. So, yeah, I think it was probably a hoggy. As for what hoggy, we'll just have to use our deduction to find out.
Yeah.
But the main reason I got this rum, and the main reason it's exciting, is that it is a clean rum. It is unadulterated, unmodified. There is no sugar in here. There is no colouring in here. All there is a wee bit of water to bring it down to that 46%. It is otherwise rum from the cask without any funny business. And that is, as anyone who enjoys their rum will know, tragically rare to find. So good on Hunter Laing for giving us an out there. But Cadenheads also will bottle the occasional rum, and they have a sort of a rolling release. I think they call it their Caribbean XO. That's a very, very good option for a unadulterated craft rum as well. But
this one comes to us from Jamaica's Worthy Park Distillery.
Yes,
and
they do.
Jamaica, I understand, thanks to our erudite viewers, quite well-regulated rum production, so yeah, even
as far as regulation and rum goes, yeah, there is more than other places in the world there. Worthy Park, they're not a distillery I have a great deal of familiarity with. Appleton Estate is, of course, the big one everyone, including myself, would think of for Jamaican rum, but Worthy Park, they make, and I may be wrong, I believe they make the Dorado bottles, or they might not. I don't know. I should have probably looked that up. But they do. You know, you get a brand of rums out of Worthy Park. They're just not called Worthy Park. They have their own little brand names for them. Doesn't mention where they're distilled. Anyway, so looking at this one, that's for an uncoloured whiskey. That's actually a really good,
uncoloured rum.
Really good. Good deep colour there, which you can probably just about see in front of the camera, and it strikes me as probably there's a tint to it there which makes me think this wasn't American oak. I think this was, not saying what it might have held, I think this is probably European oak, and that's more common in rum than not, just because of where they are in the world and historically where the barrels have come from. And they would have all been European to begin with, and despite their proximity to the US, geographically speaking, they don't have that big sort of parallel import thing which the Scotch whiskies distilleries do. They don't have this huge trade in American oak. I think because American oak and rum, it can get a bit sort of squishy. American aged, rather white oak aged rum. They're sort of the coconut. You get coconut on coconut action and vanilla on vanilla action, and it's just too much sometimes. So I'm thinking European wood for this one. But let's get into the actual goods here.
That is brilliantly fragrant. Sugar syrup, golden syrup.
Super fragrant. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Another of these good information here. Where is it? It just says distilled here, but that's a pot distilled rum. It will mention whether it's the pot or column still, and this one is a pot still. I'm not sure if everything out of Worthy Park is from pot. I'd be quite surprised if it was, but this one is a 100% pot distilled rum, and that can make a really huge difference, as we discovered with the explosion of a I'm probably going to do this, but never mind. Explosion of a rum that came from Ray and Nephew. That incredible overproof cannonball of flavour that we tried probably more than a year ago now. But this one is not dissimilar. Not dissimilar in the absolute potency of its nose.
Yeah, there is some very lively spice on there as well. Lots of pepper and ginger.
Yeah, ginger is enormous. You could almost, like, just grated ginger, that really, really fresh ginger, that's there in spades. And obviously sugarcane, there's masses and masses of sugarcane in there. And fairly light. If you've ever smelled or tasted fresh green sugarcane, there's a lot of that flavour, or at least aroma, in there. It's not the sort of really heavy, dark molasses nose that you get off some darker rums. This one's quite lifted, light-bodied, and sort of playful in how its aromas come together. But on palate, again, packed with flavour.
Yeah.
Just packed with it. So much so that it's really difficult to separate it. I'm going to have to put a wee bit of water in there, or
there's an immediate
I can't stretch it out.
Spicy alcohol heat which runs down the back of the tongue. That is giving way though to lots of rich spices, quite a bit of, again, some heat there, some pepper, some florals as well, and a good sugary finish. Sort of like that nice thick gooey molasses right at the end. We're used to having a lot of that right up front with rums, especially ones which are sweetened pre-bottling. Yeah. Since this hasn't got that, it means the sugar plays a much more subtle role. It kind of harmonises more nicely with all the other good stuff which is going on here, of which there's a lot.
We wouldn't want to call it sugar. No. It's the flavour.
The flavour of sugar.
It's this rum contains 0% sugar. There's absolutely none in here whatsoever. Sugar, you can't distill sugar. No. So even if there was some in the liquor in the pot stills, you wouldn't get any on the other side.
Of sugar,
however, it's right to think sugar, because that's exactly where our mind goes. I was asked recently on the channel by someone, why does rum and bourbon taste sweet compared to whiskey when they all have, on paper, 0% sugar content? And that's because the associations we have with things that taste sweet are far, far more powerful than the actual taste of sugar, which isn't actually very strong. If you open a bag of white sugar and smell it, you'll smell nothing but the bag, because sucrose, it has no aroma. No aroma whatsoever. You can dissolve it in water and smell it. You still smell absolutely nothing. There is no aromatic component to sugar. But things we associate with it, so fruity smells, or even the smell of slightly less refined sugar. If you open a similar bag of raw or brown sugar, it will smell really, really, really sweet, because our brain has detected the presence of sugar. And so it's sort of, our brain is honed to detect and feel like things are sweet if they normally would be. So this smelling like sugarcane and all sorts of yummy stuff, that would normally be sweet. So we associate it with that, and it smells like just the sweetest thing in the world. It tastes like it as well. It's funny how the old palate works. There's a lot of sort of cerebral smoke and mirrors going on, usually in service of directing us towards sweet things, so we eat them. There's really all the body is concerned with that. But enough about the science of it. A wee bit of water there has dramatically sort of threaded things out a wee bit, and I can sort of more approach them now. The ginger and cane are still very, very dominant there, but as you say, there are some spices now. There's a wee bit of cinnamon and rose water even just around the edges, and boy, a bit of nutmeg. The wood character is extremely slight. You'd think from the colour, which is pretty deep, I was expecting a kind of an oakier kind of a thing going on, but
there's a kind of a gentle sappiness running through it, a good bit of resinous quality to it.
But by and large, the oak is fairly well in the background to the rest of the spirit. There is a little bit of coconut, a wee bit of coconut, a wee bit of vanilla, but they're both very,
very minor.
Yeah, they're very lilting little flavours. I think, sticking with my theory that this was matured in European wood, it was probably second or third fill, because though that's a fairly deep colour, it's not for sherry wood, especially European sherry wood. which would normally give a very, very deep colour. So that, and also given that rum casks are used almost to complete destruction, I mean, they'll fill them maybe 3 times for Scotch whisky. Rum casks, they will use them. Use them and use them and use them. So this one I think is fairly warm, and that's why we're not getting a lot of oak through. But that's not really so much of a problem. Rum is such a boisterous, lively spirit on its own. It's great fun without a whole lot of wood going on.
And this is an excellent example of the craft. It's sweet and engaging, with a good dry, spicy component propping it up as well. So it's got the best of both aspects of the quality rum. The aging has served it very well. It's well balanced. It's heavy without being syrupy or oily. It carries itself very nicely.
Mm-hmm. And scores for this one. This one really is quite tremendous, and doubly so, I'll freely admit, to being a little coloured by the fact that we get to try so few unmodified rums. To see a true craft rum such as this is just so refreshing, I suppose, for people that encounter rum after rum that's got sugar, if not vanilla essence in it. It is just so good to see. So this one gets a 91 from me.
Wow.
It's a tremendous rum.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it too, and it rates an 87 from me.
The only problem with this range of rums is they're fairly steep.
Yeah.
They are expensive in a way that seems surprising when you're dealing with the ages on the bottle. And the only reason for that is that there is no competition. They that and the Cadenhead's rums and a few of the Berry Brothers, they really stand alone, and so they're only for sort of real diehard fans of the thing. They are competing with really themselves only, and they're such a little niche business for these companies that they haven't exactly priced them to move. However, they're not terrible, they're not ruinously expensive. They are just a little bit, I guess you'd say, surprisingly expensive
The chance to try
Scotch.
a single cask rum is just so rare, so few and far between it. Yeah, it's worth a little bit extra to try something, a unique, singular expression of what rum can be.
But even so, I would supremely recommend the Kill Devil range to anyone that enjoys their rum, but especially people that are searching for that. That's the dream, which is an unmodified craft presented rum. It is so good to see. So that was our rum minute, or rum 10 at least. We will come back with something maybe. We might even get a Scotch whisky in. You never know. Back to our roots there. So stick around, Slanjo. We'll be right back.